Hello and thanks for joining me today on my channel, and this is Discovering My Fitness. And today I wanted to talk to you about the importance of setting up a schedule for yourself. Now, if you're like me and you have been sedentary for a long period of time, it's tough to kind of set a schedule. So originally I just went out and started walking on a daily basis just to get going, but as I got going I found my body was needing rest and recovery, and by switching up my exercise a little bit and giving myself a schedule, I'm able to not overuse certain muscles, and I'm able to do different things to kind of promote weight loss and more activity and mobility. So here's the reasons why I think a schedule might be beneficial for you. All right, so consistency can be one of them. So depending on what type of personality you are, setting a schedule can actually promote having that consistency, because you set a time and a place where you're going to go and do that. Some people need to have that kind of structure. I know for myself, getting started, it was just about going out every day, kind of, to get that going. And the structure wasn't as important as just kind of going out and doing it. But now I find that I need to have that structure so that I'm getting the things that I need out of it. Like I said, rest and recovery is super important. After walking every day for like 2.5, 3 months, I found that my knees and my hips were really tightening up, and I wasn't recovering from that exercise. And then of course I went 2.5 weeks straight on my bike, and so putting in a schedule when I'm going to do that so I get that recovery is really important for me. And of course there's lots of benefits as far as consistency goes, so that you show up, you have a place to go, you have a time to do it, and then of course in my case the scheduling kind of spaces it out so that I'm getting the recovery I need. The next thing is to set goals, right? So if you have a schedule, it helps you to set goals and then reach those goals. The only caveat here with goal setting is if you don't reach your goal, just realize that you just have to reset, right? So sometimes things might get in the way. Maybe you set a goal that was too difficult, but you're kind of just trying to give yourself a schedule so that you can get yourself on track to what it is you want to achieve, and then you'll readjust when you reach that time period. So set that schedule up for that period of time, either like 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, and I want to achieve certain things by this amount of time, and I'm going to put in a schedule to do certain things to reach that goal. Like I said, goals are really just they're kind of a line in the sand, and of course we know sand can change over time, so that goal may not be relevant once you get to that end of that period. So just remember that goal setting is something just to kind of give you a marker, and then you reset once you're there. So if you're a busy schedule and you are constantly saying I don't have time to work out, well, that's definitely where you need a schedule. So if you're the type of person who's always procrastinating because you say you don't have time, it's about where can you fit that in your day, and then stick to it, right? So if you're constantly building up your schedule with all kinds of activities and things you have to do, of course, and obviously work, and if you have a family, take care of your family. But then where do you go from saying I don't have time to work out to where can I fit that in? And scheduling really helps you to determine where it is that fits into your life and how you can fit it in. And then that may also determine what type of exercises you do. Okay, so like I said earlier, by setting up that schedule, you can kind of set that goal, but it also allows you to track your progress. So by scheduling out, I'm going to do this type of exercise so many times for this period and for this length of time. So for instance, I'm going to go for a walk every day for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to see what kind of progress I get. You might do that for 2 weeks and find that you've lost weight, but then for the next 2 weeks you find that you plateaued. So now you need to do 30 minutes, or you need to do some other adjustments like increasing the speed so you go further distance. So these types of things with scheduling can really help you to plan out and track how your progress is working for you. Okay, so this is the one where I'm at right now. Like, I'm actually scheduling for variety. So I'm actually scheduling walks. I'm going with a friend. We're walking 3 days a week, approximately an hour. So it's not necessarily a ton of steps, but it's just regular exercise, doing some hills in there as well. So I'm doing walking 3 times a week. The benefit of scheduling, now I'm doing that with some days, I have those days I go walking. The other thing then is I've now scheduled myself to bike 3 days a week. So I'm doing walking 3 days a week and alternating with biking. Then I'm also taking It just turns out that it's Sunday is my day that I'm not doing anything exercise-wise, and I'm letting my body recover. Now, when I say nothing, I still, I might walk out for a coffee, I might bike to the grocery store, I might do something in that area where I'm still physically active, but I'm not doing to the extent of, biking for an hour or walking for an hour, doing things that are increasing my physical endurance and really promoting my weight loss. Okay, but scheduling those things is allowing me to have that variety. And then on top of it, I've added in morning calisthenics, which I'm doing on a daily basis, 6 days a week. So I get up and I do these calisthenics to get moving, loosen up my body, and I find that in the short term that's helping. But that's the thing that I'm doing every day to get my body moving. And then the biking and walking is the thing that I'm really trying to do to promote weight loss. Okay, so the next one's accountability. So we've kind of gone over this already, but if you're somebody who you're not accountable on just saying I'm going to do it, you have to write it down, it has to be solid. Definitely you could use this as saying it's in my schedule and I've got to make myself accountable to this. So it's actually saying I've committed to doing this at this time and doing this exercise. So accountability is, I think, sometimes huge depending on what your personality is. And if your personality is that you can do that without writing it down, that's great. But putting it in a schedule definitely helps to organize it for you. And of course, you're not going to really achieve it without that accountability. Okay, and so I already talked about this a little bit. Scheduling really helps you to not overtrain. So biking and walking are very different. So I feel like I can do exercise 6 days a week by alternating between biking and walking, and I schedule in when I'm doing it so that it's very specific. And if for some reason I miss a day of walking, I'm not going to do an extra day of walking when I'm biking. So I'm still going to get 4 to 5 days of exercise, even if I miss for whatever reason. And I'm not going to have that overtraining issue that I was having by biking 7 days a week for 2.5 weeks. And I'm not going to have that hip and knee issue that I was having by walking for basically 2.5 months straight. I essentially have kind of established that schedule so that I can definitely let my body recover and stay away from overtraining. So if you find yourself to be stressed and your mental health kind of deteriorates because you really want to lose weight and you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself or other people are saying stuff to you, mental health can kind of become an issue if you're constantly, kind of pushing yourself to get that weight loss and so on and so forth. Putting a schedule in just kind of takes a little bit of pressure off. You're putting stuff in and saying, this is when I do it. This is my responsibility. I'm going to do it. And then it's done, right? You don't have to constantly be at yourself saying, I got to do this to lose weight. I got to do that to lose weight. You just set up your fitness schedule and you say, I'm going to do this. And then after 2 or 3 months, you reevaluate. So if you're not losing weight anymore, you readjust. And like I said, you either do a longer period of time, you increase the intensity, or you look at other ways that you can make those adjustments, either through your diet or through your physical activity. But putting a schedule on takes off that daily stress, that mental grind of saying, I got to do this. It's so important. You set it up, you do it, you follow the schedule, and you stop worrying about that on a daily basis. So some of my previous ones have kind of touched on this, but I really want to pinpoint it in its injury prevention, because way back a few years ago, before I started this channel and before I started this weight loss challenge, I would start working out and I would injure myself. And it is partly because of overtraining, it was partly because of poor planning, and partly because I was trying to do things I did 30 years ago. And so essentially, if you can schedule it out, you've created a plan and you put that in place that you're going to do it on a regular basis and build it up over time, I think you have a much better chance of staying injury free. Whereas myself, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't schedule things out and I just kind of jumped in and went for it and didn't look at it as a long-term process. And I think that's really more important to say, okay, I'm going to start here, see where I'm at, and then I'm going to jump it up or increase the levels. And by creating that schedule of how you want to increase over a longer period of time, you're less likely to maybe push yourself on the first day and try and be that hero who's going to, do it all in one day. Now, this is just kind of a touchy one, but being more efficient. So, of course, somebody who is constantly busy all the time and doesn't think they have time, making a schedule makes you more efficient. But again, if you're finding that it's taking up too much of your day, too much of your time, that's one of the things that can actually demotivate you and take away that desire to be out there. Is if you're taking too long to do something, you're going, you're like, oh, it's like going to take up the most part of my day. That's actually why I don't swim, because I know if I go swim, I have to do all these things just to get in the pool, as opposed to I can just go outside and walk. For me, walking's easy, and I do want to get into swimming more again, and I'm going to have to do that, so scheduling is going to be a part of that, but right now it's super inefficient for me as opposed to just walking. And if you were that same person, just to get started in any type of exercise, it's too much this and too much that. Well, yes, okay. How can you make it more efficient? Well, you can schedule it. You say, I'm going to block out this time. I'm going to give myself this much time to get ready, this much time to finish up, and in the middle, whatever I get done is what I get done, and that's the way you start. You say, okay, I have this much time to go for a walk, and that includes putting my shoes on, changing into my shorts, getting home, having a shower, whatever you need to do to get back into your day, and whatever's left in the middle, that's how much I get to use. So simple as that, just to get started, start your schedule out. And that's what I'll have to do for swimming. I'm just not at that point for swimming yet, but that's how I got started with the walking. Okay, so one of the things that I learned in university, and maybe you learned this in one of university classes too, but for physical activity to become part of your daily life or a habit, you've got to do it repeatedly over and over again for months, right? So, and that sounds kind of daunting, but by making a schedule and sticking to that schedule, you're going to find out that that's going to go by really quickly. But when you first start out, you're like, oh, it's going to take me months to get going. And some people think, oh, it's going to take weeks and it'll be a habit. Well, no, until you actually regularly put that into your schedule and say, I have this much time, and you actually take that time and you do that thing on a daily basis or weekly basis, a certain number of times a week, it doesn't become a habit, right? Until your body starts saying, hey, I'm ready to go, before you're even ready to go, it's not actually a habit. And scheduling promotes that. And I gotta say, when I started my walking, it was the same thing. Until I got out there and started going, it wasn't a habit. And now every morning, I actually wake up just right before my alarm. Sometimes I hit snooze because I'm still tired, but my body's starting to go, hey, this is when we get up. And when I get up, I know I'm going to do my calisthenics. I know I'm going to go for a walk or a bike ride. And then my day's going to start. So for me, that's kind of starting to become a habit. And I want to keep it going. And by creating a schedule that goes even further, I'm promoting it even deeper. So the next one's kind of funny, but really on a basic level, scheduling promotes enhanced performance. And when I look at myself now and where I was as an athlete years ago, it's hard to say those words, but enhanced performance essentially means that by scheduling it out, I'm becoming more consistent, and then by the regular exercise, I'm getting far more out of my exercise than I would if I wasn't doing that, because again, the overtraining became an issue for me. And overtraining doesn't necessarily have to mean like at a high level, it's what your body can handle. And the consistency that I'm getting out of it means that I'm getting that regular exercise, I'm doing my regular increases in time or intensity, right? So even with the walking, I still have plans with my friend to how we're going to expand that walking path, and that's going to be an important thing going forward for us, is how we're going to expand that. And time is not always the only thing you can expand, right? So scheduling really helps us to figure out how we're going to get that enhanced performance. But by doing it regular, our body is starting to make those adjustments, and as we push ourselves to the next level, our body is then ready for it. A little bit oversimplified, but nonetheless, you kind of can see how that can happen. Okay, so this is a big one, and probably for me too, because I'm a little bit unorganized. Scheduling can help with scheduling and all the resources that you need to have, right? So for instance, if you're first starting out and you decide, well, I want to do this type of exercise, but you don't have the right equipment, you may need to go somewhere. So I've actually showed up at a gym and it's closed. I've shown up at the pool and it's closed. So just really poor management on my part to make sure what I wanted to do was available, right? So this is stuff that's happened in the past. And again, for me, the swim kart's not really going to happen yet, but that was one of the things I'd always planned poorly when I was going to go swimming, is I'd just be like, okay, I'm sure the pool's open, I'll go. And it wouldn't be. And that's really going to interrupt your training, right? So you want to make sure the resources are there and you've planned out and scheduled what you need. So if yours involves going to a gym, going to a pool, going somewhere specific like a track, those things are scheduled. They have certain times they're open, certain times they're closed, and you want to make sure that fits into your schedule and you understand how that works. So having a schedule helps you create that plan and helps you organize with the facilities that you're working with and perhaps the trainers you're working with. Okay, so scheduling and customization is the next one. So customization I think pulls everything together here, some of the pieces we're talking about. But what I've done with mine, like I said, the walking is 3 days a week, the biking is 3 days a week. I have the calisthenics 6 days a week. And then I'm going to work in strength training this week. I was going to start strength training already. You might have seen a video on that previously, but it kind of got overtaken a little bit. And again, scheduling, my fault. I wasn't organized. But I didn't really push it because I felt like I was going forward with other things. The calisthenics has actually been a huge benefit for me. Although it's not really promoting my weight loss, it definitely isn't hurting it. But getting your body moving and getting that motivation is, so I wanted to implement that first. So I said, well, I'm going to do this for a week and kind of get it going. And then I'm going to get into the strength training side of it. So I definitely want to add some free weights, doing some strengthening to my core, and I've been doing some core exercises, but they've been on and off, so I got to get that into my schedule. And what I've decided with that, it's going to be 3 days a week. It's actually going to coincide with my biking. Okay, so once I get that going, I'm going to do biking and strength training, and then walking on the other day. So the walking will be the one that has the less work a day, but I'm hoping to actually increase the distance that I'm able to walk and do more hills and increase the intensity. So that's one way I'm going to be doing different increases on that day, and I've kind of had that scheduled already. So there you have it. It is really a way of kind of implementing more things and staying organized with what's going on in my life, but I can now customize my training. I can change this at any time. I just have to readjust my schedule. So the last one here is social engagement. So I was talking to my friend about what I was doing with walking and biking alternatively, and he said, well, give me a call, we'll go for walks together. And so it's kind of become a little bit of a social thing now, where the walking is with somebody and pick certain times of the week, right? So his schedule and my schedule seem to have the same easy flexibility 3 days a week, and we just decided to match it up. So now I'm getting that social aspect out of it. So I'm kind of a little bit of a loner, so that would say that I don't really need that per se, but it has kind of given a little different perspective, and it just happened organically. So by scheduling it, I've increased that social interactive, and it does add a little bit of motivation because you have somebody else that's going, and because you're setting a time and a place, right? It's like, okay, I got to be here at this time. You can't just drop out with somebody. Well, you can, I mean, if you're sick or whatever, but nonetheless, you kind of have that little extra, yeah, I need to be there kind of thing, which kind of adds to the motivation or the need to go get it done. So fantastic kind of addition without really forcing it. Some people really need that social aspect, so you can go out and try and get that through, different gyms have different programs, or there's walking groups, or there's running groups, or, biking groups, whatever, groups you want to be a part of. You're just going to find those. They're going to be scheduled, so sometimes you have to slot into their schedule. In this case, I was told my friend I was walking in the morning. He said he's going to walk in the morning. It worked out. We're both on the same schedule. There you go. So not really an issue for us to kind of go back and forth to see how it was going to work. I kind of said, this is what I'm doing. He said that's what he's doing. And we just kind of aligned the time so it matched for both of us. And like, again, the social aspect of it is definitely going to help with scheduling, motivation, and that kind of impulse to be regularly and get it done. So kind of an unforeseen area that just kind of happened recently, but I got to say it's definitely something I think is worth mentioning as far as creating a schedule and how important it can be. All right, so that's it. I hope you leave a comment below. Let me know how you're doing with your weight loss challenge. Click subscribe and like. Follow along on the series as I'm going through this weight loss challenge of mine, and you can see where I'm going. So again, I haven't really lost a ton of weight recently. Initially, I lost 40 pounds just by walking. So I am recently doing this whole scheduling and doing some increases in the way I'm doing my exercise, but I'm also kind of scheduling it so that I have more productivity and can resume losing weight. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.